and you're
I'm gonna start recording in 2 minutes. I just wanted to make sure that you're all good, you're all set up. Sorry for the delay. It's been crazy,
yeah,
crazy
yeah,
first
no worries.
crazy month of September.
No, most definitely.
Um, what I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, I'm just gonna first of all, my name is Roger Maloney. I'm a good friend of Tara Renee's. I've known Tara for like over like 10 plus years, and I was like, Tara, you're like the you're like the legend in the game because you are like literally the only one, a few like literally supporting women of color in terms of filmmakers, cinema, the whole 9 yards. I love it.
Yeah, no, no, most definitely. She's been such a huge help and support to Freedom Day and still keeping it screening all these years later.
And my first question to you is, what inspired you to become a filmmaker?
Well, originally, I actually wanted to be a forensic anthropologist or a
Get
medical.
out of here! Like on some SVU like
Yeah, yeah. I really wanted to do like I was really influenced by Bones and like Body of Proof, and so
yeah,
for
Bones
the
is a
longest
good
time I
show.
wanted, yeah. So for the longest time I wanted to be a medical examiner or a forensic anthropologist.
Wow.
Um, but as the senior year of high school, my mom was like, "Well, you like watching a lot of movies and TV, and you're always up on the latest like celeb stuff. Like, why don't you try going to pre-college at SVA, the School of Visual Arts, which is on 23rd between second and third for a
Right, right, right. Right down. They like that's NYU town over there. Love it.
yeah, and see if you like it." So I was like, okay, I'm not doing anything this summer anyway between like AP homework and like starting college apps, so might as well like try it. If I don't like it, and then I'll just still be a medical examiner.
Yeah, right, right, right.
If you do, maybe this is something to explore. And so I went there, and my first class was with my current mentor, Joan Brooker. She wrote for Full House and MacGyver and
Wow,
Scarecrow Mrs. King. And after
wow,
my first class with her, I texted my mom and I was like, I can see myself doing this for the rest of my life.
wow.
And that's when I made a huge career and college shift and started looking into more film schools. I ended up attending SVA as an undergraduate in film with a concentration in directing.
Wow.
While I was there, I also uh, did their film program in conjunction with the honors program there. So it was a really great mix of rigorous like academia and exploration of film and film production. And
Right.
while I was there, I was fortunate enough to meet a great group of collaborators. So I was able to work on a bunch of music videos while I was in school. So the music
Nice.
that I've had the pleasure of ADing and helping to produce and do all this cool stuff have reached probably like over 7 million views on YouTube. And we've been
Wow.
featured on BET Plus and World Star Hip Hop. So
Wow.
it was really
Which I worked at BET. Which music videos did you work on? Which
we used to work very heavily with an artist named YSN Flow. And so two of his music videos ended up on BET Plus.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. BET Plus was, yeah, that's the way to do it, especially if you're a new artist. That's a great way to break in. Tell me a little bit about your film. Tell me a bit about the idea to create it, and I would love to hear that backstory.
Yeah, so Freedom Day happened really on accident and pure circumstance. I had been working on another documentary for my thesis film that I knew was probably going to take about 8 to 9 months to film. So I had started it the February of my junior year, to make sure I could get robust footage and have time in the edit to make something substantial. Obviously, COVID hit in the second semester of my junior year, so my free Italy trip from my school got ripped away from me, but also did my doc idea since it wasn't feasible to shoot what I wanted to originally shoot during the pandemic. And with the rise of uh, BLM and the murder of George Floyd, I really saw the opportunity to want to be involved in documenting these protests and these people behind these protests in a way that I don't think that we had seen before. I felt during that summer of 2020, we had been very heavily inundated with a lot of trauma content. So not only were we hit with videos and footage of people dying from coronavirus, but we were also inundated with footage and videos of Black and Brown Americans also being killed at the hands of police. And so at that time, I knew that I didn't just want to keep perpetuating those kind of videos that we were seeing, and I really wanted to shine a light more on the people behind these protests. We had seen TikToks and the news reporters all out from
It was
the
daily. You remember that?
protest.
It was daily bombardment. It was crazy.
It was daily. There was new protests every other day at different
Yeah.
cities and different towns all across America. And I felt like the content was not only traumatizing, but it was recyclable. Like you would feel that you could get numb to seeing the constant flow
Mm-hmm.
of this similar footage. And so
Mm-hmm.
I really was like, what's a different lens that we can take to these protests that's not just having people in the protest, and rather that it is having these activists behind the scenes. And so at this time, my one of my DPs, Ryan DeVita, was friends of a friend with Malik Harris, who was in the Freedom Day documentary, and was like, "Hey, like I know of a guy and these two other individuals that are hosting this protest in DC. Like this would be so cool to like document like their process of, forming these protests." And I was really struggling with a thesis idea at this point. It was going to make more of an artistic documentary that I had seen similarly on like New York Op Docs, surrounding my grandfather and these catalog of photography that we had stumbled upon after his passing. And so I had really had a new and invigorated sense to go out there and be like, no, this is how I'm going to be a part of this. This is how I'm going to shine a different perspective on this story that we're seeing constantly. And so I was fortunate enough to have two DPs that were wonderful, one that was local and one that traveled for me over
Wow.
the course of about 3 weeks total of shooting over the course of 3 months. So they were there for a week per protest. So they got to live with the activists and really get to see all
Wow.
this process. So at the
Wow.
end of the day, when we had finished shooting, we ended up with over 9 hours of interviews. I did 3 hours of interviews with each of them remotely on a little
Wow.
iPad. And I
Wow.
had, filled up probably about 50 or 60 terabytes worth of hard drives with just
Wow, man.
footage
That's
alone.
amazing. That's amazing archive footage because people, it when we were going through that 2020, 2020, like going into 2021, it was a lot. And there was there were so many people getting pulled over, getting murdered by the cops. So in Harlem, because where I live, um, there was a protest every week. It was insane. Me and my family actually walked through the protest, which is dope. My girls got a chance to see it and experience it and stuff like that. That's amazing. My next question I wanted to ask you, marketing budget. How do you now that you have all these amazing footages and you're going through the editing process? What's your plan to market it, get it out there, have people see it, that sort of thing?
It was so interesting when I had first made this back in 2021 in terms of it being like a student film project. So I had made an Instagram page for it and I made a website as well. But my first foremost was like I never had any accolades or laurels to the film or to any of my prior work. And so I felt like it was really important. Pardon me. It was really important for me to uh spread my film through film festivals. I was very fortunate enough to be a part of 20. For 2 years, I was out on film. I was at the Athens International Film and Video Festival. I was at Phoenix Film Festival. And so I had a wide ranging of opportunities, and as well as Halifax Film Festival to be in Canada, to be in a lot of different states across America. And I ended up winning Best Short Doc at the Lighthouse
Um,
International Film Festival. So it was really a wide ranging of opportunities to showcase Freedom Day and just to get eyeballs on it. And it was great the reception that I received when I had done a bunch of Q&As as well. I think it really moved people in a different way, and it was so great to get a lot of outside perspective and to see how much people were responding to this work.
and how do you feel when you showing the film and all of a sudden you getting this amazing response? Because you think you usually those type of films people are always deeper, introspective and stuff like that. Like that's amazing.
It was I feel like as any artist, you always have a little bit of a shell and you're so scared to reveal
Yeah,
something so intimate
yeah.
about you. Every piece of work that you make is a piece of you in it, is a piece of all your collaborators in it. And so there's a lot of weight as a director to make sure that everyone's work is highlighted in a way that is respectful to the time and dedication and skill and talent of them, as well as in onerous to stay truthful as much as you can to the story and your protagonists and who you're following to make sure that you are honoring them and honoring the space that they have given you. And so getting the positive response from all of these outside viewers and sharing this work really meant a lot that I did do that work and that people felt the time, the energy, the effort of these individuals that I documented and of the talent of my crew. I think that it's really a testament to all of us and the wonderful people that we were able to film in this process.
And now that it's done, you've been to over 20 film festivals, networks. How you are you shopping it? Is there any interest? Are people reaching out to you? Because the media landscape is in people putting content online or getting on a major streaming channel to premiere it. But how was that process for you, or
Um,
what's your plan for that?
I actually have like a distribution deal with Terra. So I think we're waiting for that to kind of take a little
Mhm.
bit more form and shape into where what platform Freedom Day will end up living on.
Nice.
So right now it's just been in a few virtual festivals with African American women in cinema since I've kind of turned down the dial on film festivals for it since it's relatively older now, going on
Hmm.
almost
Hmm.
4 years, which is crazy that people it's
I
very
know.
humbling
I
that
know.
people want to see it 4 years later.
I know, but it's important stuff. Will you be doing like showing it in schools? Are you thinking about creating a curriculum, like other spin-off marketing ideas that you might have to keep the momentum going?
I haven't really thought about it in terms of schools. I have a really good relationship with my mentor who still teaches at my alma mater to this day. And so I often go back every year into her new doc class and they'll watch Freedom Day and we'll talk about it and what it was like to make that film as a thesis student to give them some sort of one-to-one relatability if they are pursuing a career in nonfiction and an interest in nonfiction, what that process takes to make this kind of film. I started in June and didn't finish post until June. And so it's really letting them know that it's like when you're making a documentary, it's not something that can be made overnight,
Yeah,
nor are the best films ever made in a
yeah,
night. Rome was never built
yeah.
in a day.
It's like a
Um,
passion project. It's almost like a passion project.
yeah, it was a combination of I needed to graduate and I wanted to make something really good and that if I had to make a statement piece as my first big piece into the
Yeah,
industry, what would that look like? And I
yeah,
want to make sure that it was always of quality and that I had the best team around me, that we were all giving 100%. And I am just incredibly grateful to all of my co-collaborators for making this such a powerful film. I mean, without my DPs, without my editor, without my co-producer, without
mhm.
my the sound mixer, none of this would have really taken such shape in life that it does.
So what's next? I mean, what's and now that I know you still stopping this project, are you working on some new stuff?
Yeah, so I'm working on a new basketball documentary that is
Nice.
following
About
my
what?
it follows my cousin's organization in the Lower East Side called LES Express. And so
Nice.
we're going to be modeling a short documentary. I'd love to make it a feature or a series one day and follow some of his trainees that are under his wing. But I'm sticking with the theme of pillars and activists in our community. I don't think that we have enough people of color as documentarians, one, nor do I think that we have enough people of color documentarians that
Yeah,
are
yeah.
perpetuating these positive pillars that we see in our communities. That how when and where we're taking care of each other is so important than
Mm-hmm.
just documenting our strives and our struggles. It's celebrating our triumphs and how we are actually helping each other. And Brian is someone that I feel exemplifies that notion to the umpth degree
Mm-hmm.
of being what we all should aspire to be, which is, a kind and caring human being that really wants to see the better for everyone, the next generation, and have his kind of legacy live on in a way that is nurturing the hearts and minds of our youth. And you
I
raise a
love it.
child up in the way that
Yeah,
they're going to be, they're going to stay that way.
I
And
love
so he
it.
instills a lot of great values with these kids and teaching them that all the things that they can do with their passions in basketball. And if they can just believe, they can achieve anything. And so that's what I'm really looking to highlight in this next project of mine.
I love it. I love it. That's amazing. And my last question: who are some of the filmmakers that inspired you now or upcoming filmmakers that you like? You know, yeah, that filmmaker has some amazing stuff, and I like what he or she is doing.
Yeah, I'm really heavily, in terms of documentary filmmakers, I'm really heavily inspired by Garrett Bradley and her work. I remember watching her short documentary for New York Times Op Doc when I was a sophomore or junior, and really showing that how it changed my perception of
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
documentaries. And I think that she reinvigorated a new artistic lens to the documentary filmmaking process, and then watching her feature film Time was just absolutely incredible and really turned everything on its head when you watch that film.
I love it. Rain, thank you so much for doing this interview. I'm super excited about all the things that you got going on, and I love the fact that you're documenting our journeys and our stories. And if ever in the future you want to do a documentary on an upcoming YouTuber named Roger Maloney, I am totally down for that. I am totally down for that. That would be so exciting. Congratulations to you. You much success. I think yeah, I think you have some amazing stuff that I think is going to go super, super far. And the Oscar goes to you, Rain. It's dope. I love it. Love, love, love it. Love, love, love it.
Thank you. We're only shooting for the Oscars and the Emmys.
I love it. I love it. Okay, I'm gonna pause it real quick.